Hello, welcome to the next podcast for Andy Collier-talks cricket memorabilia. I hope you had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. Hopefully it'll be a darn sight better than 2020. So unfortunately, obviously we've got the same situation of lockdown and I won't be able to get out to any collectors and things, so we're going to do a few more bits and pieces on the collection. But anyway, last couple of weeks the magazines have turned up. First one was the Cricket Society news bulletin, which is full of all sorts of informations and editorials and book reviews and all sorts of things in the Cricket Society. Good society to be involved in that, do all sorts of things around the world, Australia and England. Next one, which is my particular favourite, is the Cricket Memorabilia Society, which have this is their 129th quarterly magazine. Little Christmas card on the front there. But it's got the results of Geoffrey Boycott's auction in there, which the bats on the back there, which reached which he got his 100 with, which is 43,750. So that's quite a significant item of memorabilia there, and I can remember it well. Batting with him was Graham Root that day, who was actually later on a teammate of mine at Guildford. So memories for me there too. There's some nice articles in the magazine, particularly one there I liked with trying to find getting the signatures for the Lord's Taverners 50 Greatest Cricketers there by Malcolm Butcher. He's managed to get all the signatures in there, which is quite a feat, I'd imagine, being in the right place at the right time. So that's quite a good little article there. And then there's another one on nursery wear from James Marchant. So he's the Australian boy, and he's doing some books on ceramic memorabilia in Australia at the moment, which I've had a bit of a sending some photographs over and things like that. So it might be quite an interesting book to get. So that's a couple of the magazines that have turned up. Today, I mean, I've said I was going to do some entry levels on bits and pieces, but just going to break into that and go into a few books that I've collected over the years, which have been generally for research purposes, but obviously for historical purposes as well. Going back to the first edition of Schools and Biographies, which is 1862, I think is in this one, which is I've got the first half dozen volumes, and they go into red books, which I think they call them the Reds, is the little nickname for them. So some all sorts of information in there if you're a cricket historian type thing. All the scores, and there's some all sorts of things in there with the first tour to Australia and whatever, with H.H. Stevenson, he's in there. So some great information there to be had. One of my favourite books is 71 Not Out. This is by William Caffin. He went on that first tour to Australia. Fascinating insight into that and his life, being a sort of a local man to me really in Reigate. And it was quite an interesting book to have. And a few years later I managed to purchase this photograph of him with Sid Gregory and Sam Apted. I'm assuming that's at the Oval. William Caffin there, 1912. He's beginning to be an old man there, but a rare photograph of him, which is quite nice for being a Surrey supporter. And staying on that Surrey theme, 25 years behind the stumps is Herbert Strugwick's book, which is another fascinating insight into all his tours he went on and different bits and pieces and little stories he had on his reminiscences on his tours. So that's quite a nice little book. Not overly valuable, that one. I think when I bought the 71 Not Out, I think I bought that off dealer for about £60, I think, but you probably get it cheaper now, obviously. I mean, books are something and nothing really. I mean, you can have thousands of books and not really be worth very much at all. It's only the really limited edition ones and the rare ones that are worth any money these days. You see at auctions, there's big boxes of books that go for very little, but sometimes there's a gem in there. So anyway, we'll carry on with my selection. This one here is Cricket Across the Seas by Pelham Warner. This is a reasonably sought after book, really. Well, sought after. It's got a nice letter here, which many of them don't have actually, from Plum Warner. It's the first edition, 1903, and it's a letter to a chap called War. Dear War, it's got on there, and that makes that quite a valuable little book. And it's talking about him going to Australia in 1903 and things like that. So it's quite an interesting little letter there for that. I've got another copy of that, which I think this one cost me £100, and I think the other one cost me 25 to 30. The other one, so it's just quite a nice book, that one. So there's one here on Bradman, which is quite a rare book, limited first edition, shall I say? Wisdom on Bradman, and in there, if you've got one, you should have that little pamphlet in there, which has got a few essays on it. That's got a number on it. That number is this is number 41 of 974. Obviously 974 is a significant milestone he done on the 1930 tour. So that's a 90th birthday edition, which is quite a nice edition. What's we got here? We've got another one here. This one I've shown you some before, Cricket in the Park by Roger Packham. This is a very interesting book here, about Lord Sheffield and his life and times, and also his tours, the 1891 tour to Australia, which is captained by W.G. Grace, when he was paid £3,000 to go on the tour. So quite an interesting little insight into Lord Sheffield there. Another good book is the Harold Larwood book there, Duncan Hamilton. That's probably one of the best biographies you'll buy, which is very widely regarded as a good quality book for telling the story of Harold Larwood. Some nice in postcards and photographs in there, should I say. So that's quite a nice book. I suppose that's probably only going to be worth a £5 or £6 at an auction, probably, unless you get it signed. This is quite an interesting book. I've got this one in Barbados, funny enough. Geoffrey Stollmeyer's diary from 1949 tour, West Indies tour to India, which is quite a rare little thing. Got some nice photographs in there, and just describing the tour, which is obviously quite a pioneering tour for West Indies in those days. And there's the side that went there, all on there. I think this was done by his, or arranged by his son, who found his father's diaries when he died. So that's quite an interesting little book. Obviously I've got quite a few of Frith's books, or Dave Frith's books, Frith on Cricket there, which is a nice one. Had the pageant and all that sort of stuff. So these are his sort of latest ones, all there by John Woodcock. So they're quite sought after books. Another one there is this Frith's Encounters, where he puts all the encounters down of the famous players he's met over the years. Another interesting document, really. All signed, which is fortunate. And another one of his passions is Stoddy. That was his last Stoddy book, updating everything there. So that's a nice hardback there. I'm not quite sure how many copies were those. Book number 90 of 100. So that's quite a nice copy there. So a couple of other things here. I've got quite a few books when you go into it, but it's sort of more significant ones. This is Australian Cricket, the Game and the Players by Jack Pollard, forward by Don Bradman, and signed by Don down there at the bottom. So that's quite a nice book. Right, there is another plain copy of these, but this is that's another probably £80 to £100 book there, which I was fortunate to get. But very useful in the research for my book, Across the Oceans. I was quite pleased with that. It's a rarity in England, I think, this one. Inside Story, Unlocking Australian Cricket's Archives. This is by David Frith and Gideon Haigh. And I managed to get Gideon to sign that while he was over here a couple of years ago. And Frithie signed it for me as well. So that's quite a nice book. And I think Gideon said to me there's not very many of these in England. So I'm not actually sure how many of these we've got done, so I'll have to find that out. I'll quick look through that later. Another nice book that I acquired a few years ago is The Art of Bradman. These are the artwork by Brian Clinton and text by Richard Mulvaney, which is a lovely cushioned book. There's some smashing illustrations in this book, and there's a nice one there. He's obviously done quite a few of Don Bradman, so I'm quite pleased. I haven't got it signed obviously, but this one, I can't remember where this one came through now, but it's got pencil sketches and colour sketches. Just pick your one more out. So that's a pencil sketch there, which is quite a nice drawing. A Happy Summer, that's called. So he's going in various years. That's the one on the front there, which is lovely illustration, that one. I certainly put some effort into that. Got a Bradman Museum down the bottom there, so I'm quite pleased with those. Yeah, so that's a few of the books in the collection. There's a few more obviously, but to go into them now will be a big task, so we'll sort of call it quits there. But as I say, books at auction don't go for very much unless they're fairly rare or quite significant. So you can get some bargains. If you want to do some research, you can get some bargains. Obviously Wisdoms hold their value quite well. They've reduced a little bit in value over the years, but some good copies will set you back quite a bit. And the Schools and Biographies, although I bought those not particularly good condition, they were I think they were about £400 for about 6 copies, so they've probably gone down in value now. But if you get a good set again, and some of them were owned by previous players and things, you might get a good bargain there. But as I say, enjoy your collecting, and the next books on the shelf will probably be cricketers from the last few years. Alistair Cook was one of my latest ones, and Ian Gould and things like that. But there are some nice books that don't get their publicity they should, which are all historically connected, which don't really get out there and difficult to get published. So 9 times out of 10 you end up publishing them yourself, like I did. But anyway, that's enough of me babbling on today. So I'll see you on the next one, and have a great new year. Cheers.